Okay, I got the most recent interview with Brad Garlinghouse from Fortune magazine. We're going to talk about a lot of things here. Please bear with me as I make this movie longer. You need to watch and listen to everything. The price was $150 million for Ripple vs. Us.Thankx. We will discuss rules, the tokenization of the IPO, the use of DLT, long-term trends for crypto, the implications of the Ripple stablecoin for the White House race, Ripple's rules of the road, and Ripple vs. Swift. Watch this movie. Let's start. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? Utah is a nice place to be. Thanks for coming. Please do this quickly for that. I think this is how you should explain the case you've had with the SEC for many years. So in December 2020, the US Securities and Exchange Commission said that Ripple's sales of XRP, a digital asset and a technology we use in our technology stack, that our XRP sales were the sale of a security that had not been filed. Of course, we had a disagreement, and to be honest, I had never thought about the idea that XRP might be a protection. It's something I've always thought of as money. We also went to court for 3.5 years, which ended last summer. The main reason we won was that XRP is not a protection in and of itself. The judge made the decision, which was great to win, but it cost $150 million in legal fees. We can talk more about what that means. And it's still going on today, right? In appeals, it does go on. I mean, the main problem has been solved. There are a few things that the judge should decide soon, like in a month or two at the latest. I'll call them hangers-ons, I can't say for sure, but I'm looking forward to ending things and being done with them for good. Yes, we're talking a lot about rules and laws. Thanks for that. There's a lot of talk about rules at this event. Many of the last few years of your life have been clearly shaped by it. Just briefly explain why you think your business needs to be regulated. But what kind of steps do we take to do that? That's the difference. That being said, tell me where in this quickly growing still area you need rules and where you don't. I'll tell you one interesting thing I got ready. This kind of conversation makes me feel good. As I was getting ready, I went and appreciated that. Yes, I haven't been on stage for Fortune Brainstorm since 5 years ago in Montauk. Not surprisingly, the same subject about how regulations work came up. I also talked about how important it was for regulations to be clear. The irritating thing is that the world has changed a lot, not changed at all in some ways. I also think the US government, which has really fallen behind, needs to do something about it. There are more than 20 countries like Europe that have joined forces to make MiCA or MECA a set of rules for regulating digital assets. They are a long way ahead of the US. And there is a pattern in the US Securities and Exchange Commission of putting politics and power ahead of good policy. And I said 5 years ago that we needed more clarity, but the CFTC, the SEC, and other parts of the US government are still fighting about how this should work. And when Gensler, who is now chair of the SEC, took over, he hired more lawyers to write down and establish policy. He hired more lawyers. Why does Gary Gensler still work there? People will look back on this as one of the biggest mistakes made by the Biden administration. Having someone like that run the SEC for 4 years has basically messed up the whole crypto market in the US. This is disgusting. He tells Congress that the rules are clear. There are already enough rules. But then there are federal judges who say the opposite about the same thing. He is asked straight out, is ETH a security? He's not going to answer. Actually, not being clear is kind of the big idea behind this whole area in your business as well. And what interests me about that is that you are your own private company with a lot of money. It's funny how everyone wants to know when you're going to leave. Are you going to have an IPO or buy back shares? It's like your owners want to know where it ends, but you don't know because of all this. Is that right? Yes, that is correct. We've told everyone that we don't have any plans to try to go public soon. Why would you? You have in the current SEC, and I'm not very well like that. XRP is easy to understand. An American judge said that XRP is not an investment. That's the law in that area. Bitcoin and XRP are clear in the United States, which is a shame. And that's a shame. That's a shame. That's something I'm excited about. Just pointing out that it's sad that things are that way. And those things, an IPO has never been the end of my journey. I've always seen it as a step along the way. We have instead engaged in a number of tender offers where we have been purchasing shares back from investors and employees. This is brand new information that we have not yet shared with the public. And right now, we're in the middle of another deal. After we're done with this, we'll buy back $1.4 billion worth of stock from our owners. That's a really big amount. I'd like to change the subject for a moment. Do they plan to buy the stock back now? They talked about it a long time ago, and people are getting tired of waiting. There is a chance that the SEC will not allow Ripple to go public. Going public doesn't sound like it will happen anytime soon. It might happen in 2025 or 2026, based on who wins the next election. I'm not sure. Ripple is always trying to do the right thing, and I think they're trying to repay the people who have helped them for so long. That's what I like best about Brad. Chris and the rest of the team. It was great to meet Vlad, the CEO of Robinhood. Yesterday, he talked a lot about tokenizing real-world assets. I also believe that we do not spend enough time talking about what Vlad said. Using these technologies can cut costs by a huge amount, make things run more smoothly, and speed up the settlement of many different assets. Ripple began by focusing on the settlement of payments and financial transactions that took place across borders. But you can, as you talk about tokenizing different types of assets, BlackRock, led by Larry Fink, manages $10 trillion in assets. He is one of the fiercest supporters of cryptocurrency in general. He used to be skeptical and not believe anything. But now he said some really strong things that I think really speak to. As he learned more, he thought, wait a minute. These technologies can really be useful. You are the only one who really knows how the crypto market is doing right now. I'd love to see things from your 30,000-foot view. Unstable, right? You know, every year there's a boom and a bust. They know that the swings are different now than they were in the beginning. Where are we now? Yes, okay, so I think this has been a very important year with the adoption of an approval. The US, CCC fought hard not to allow Bitcoin ETF, but the court made them give up. That went live in January. There were billions of dollars of people who wanted to invest in this asset class who moved in again. You know, I think the long-term dynamics are very positive for crypto. This is true whether it's because of good regulatory dynamics or something else. It's taken longer to play out than I thought it would when I first started working in the industry 10 years ago. This is more bigger than I thought it would be in some ways, right? The market size you're talking about is about $2.5 trillion. Very unusual. And look, I've said in public before to a lot of criticism that there are about 15,000 tokens. I'm not sure why the world needs 15,000 tokens. There is a group and segment of there will be more than one winner here. It is normal and expected that different groups work better for different types of tasks. I believe that the US, with its huge economy, will finally understand this. A new chair of the SEC will be chosen in the end who will not be against the laws he is working for. One of the things he and I talked about backstage is something I'll tell you. The US Securities and Exchange Commission, CC, actually jails people for not being honest. However, the SEC doesn't want to be open and honest. They won't answer requests made under the Freedom of Information Act. They got in trouble with the law in Utah because one of their attorneys lied to the court. It's so frustrating that the SEC doesn't seem to be working for the people, as you can see when you peel back the onion. Now let's get back to your court question. This is going to be a speed bump. In 5 years, Gary Gensler will be in the rearview mirror.